Have you ever noticed that self-doubt rarely shows up when things are easy? It usually appears when something matters. Before a difficult conversation, before sharing an idea, before starting something you've been thinking about for months, or before taking a step that might change the direction of your life. A few years ago, I remember standing outside a meeting room at work. Nothing dramatic was happening. I simply had to present an idea, but my mind was acting as if I was about to walk into a courtroom. My heart was racing, and one thought kept repeating itself. What if they realize I don't know as much as they think I do? One thing I've noticed is that self-doubt rarely appears around things we don't care about. A relationship, a career move, a creative project. Something about importance seems to invite uncertainty. The mind starts asking questions. What if this doesn't work? What if you're making a mistake? What if you're not ready? Self-doubt rarely announces itself as self-doubt. It usually arrives disguised as caution. For a long time, I assumed confident people simply had fewer doubts. Now I'm not so sure. The things I know least about often feel easier. The things I understand deeply make me hesitate. That used to confuse me. Experience reveals complexity, more variables, more possibilities. Maybe that's why expertise sometimes looks quieter than confidence. Awareness creates humility, and sometimes humility feels surprisingly similar to doubt. A thought appears. Maybe I'm not good enough. At first, it's just a thought. Then, something subtle happens. We stop saying, "I'm having doubts," and start saying, "I am doubtful." The thought becomes an identity. A mistake becomes proof. A setback becomes evidence. Most people believe confidence comes first, then action follows. But I don't think that's how it happens. The confidence came later, sometimes much later. What if readiness isn't coming? What if the feeling appears after the first step? Self-doubt changes depending on where it appears. Around the body, around work and money. Around the mind itself. Different situations, different words. The same uncertainty wearing different clothes. Stephen Pressfield called it resistance. The force that appears when meaningful work begins. The closer we move toward growth, the louder it can become. Maybe self-doubt isn't as straightforward as it first appears. Sometimes it's fear. Sometimes it's wisdom. Sometimes it's awareness. The question is whether every doubtful thought deserves equal authority. What would you attempt if self-doubt was allowed to speak, but not allowed to decide? Questions worth sitting with. This is DS Perspective.